Hello everybody, Captain Sidaris here. For a long time now, I wanted to replay the classic Star Wars X-Wing game from 1993, but for some reason I never found the right time. This changed this month, luckily, because a small team of very dedicated Star Wars fans gave us a modern version of the classic PC game, making it the perfect time to dive back into it. And yeah, as you know, I always want to invite a veteran to get some tips, background knowledge, and most important, why a player should still play this game after 30 years. So I say hello to Vanguard. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me.
It's always a pleasure talking to fellow Star Wars fans and content creators. But before we go into the Star Wars franchise, I would like to know a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What other movies and games do you enjoy? Basic stuff.
A little bit about me. I am 37 years old. I was born in Bogota, Colombia. I was adopted when I was 3 months old and moved to Ottawa, Ontario, where I have lived my life since that point. I have 2 university degrees, 2 college degrees. Just recently finished my master's in conflict studies, and I am planning to begin my career working for the government of Canada in a role of mediation, conflict resolution, dispute, basically just helping people who have problems, conflicts, all sorts of issues with each other come together and work to resolve these sorts of issues. As far as my interests, basically anything science fiction, fantasy, adventure. I'm a big fan of all of the various genres of anything that has to do with space, pretty much. Always had a fascination when it comes to that sort of thing. When it comes to movies and games that I enjoy, again, pretty much anything that has to do with space. So, like, sort of like all the Star Wars suites of games, all the Star Trek suites of games, EVE Online. Also like to play some real-time strategy games like Command and Conquer, StarCraft 2, some shooter games like Escape from Tarkov, some Counter-Strike, a few specific games like Destiny. I like those kind of games. I think that's pretty much it.
So an all-rounder. I really like that. I'm myself also a fan of all the different space franchise. Doesn't matter if it's Star Trek, Star Wars, Stargate. I love them all. And yeah, I also played, of course, the original X-Wing game back in the day. But I'm curious, how did you get into it?
So when Game Boy came out, there was originally a Star Wars game for Game Boy. That was one of the first games that I got because the Game Boy back in like the early 90s was the console, like the one of the big first handheld consoles that came out. So I got this game and played it, and at the end of the game, there's a mission where you have to fly an X-Wing, and you have to blow up the Death Star with the X-Wing, I believe. I think that was a long time ago, I don't remember exactly, but yeah, so flying this X-Wing sort of kindled my interest, and at the time, because my dad worked for a tech company, we actually had access to pretty cutting-edge sort of computers and software for the time. This was like in the early 90s when it first came out. So I was fortunate to have the availability to be able to play these sort of games when they first came out. So because of my interest in the Game Boy game, when I saw that this game was a thing, and I was actually able to fly it all the time and not just a specific time for me being like 5 or 6 years old. It was like a sort of a kid in the candy store sort of thing. So I was really fascinated with being able to do that, and just I sort of grew up with the games as they developed, as X-Wing, and then TIE Fighter, XVT, Balance of Power, X-Wing Alliance, and then they sort of just disappeared for a while, for like 10, 20 years, but then all of a sudden all these fan remakes sort of rekindled my interest in the suite of games. So it's been great to see, and I know there's a lot of people out there just like you and like me who sort of grew up with these kind of games and are fortunate enough to be able to play not only their original iterations, but also the new ones that have recently come out, like TFTC, then XWVM, and XWAU.
I noticed on your channel that you are not only playing the recent versions of those games, but also play the original versions. Especially X-Wing was released, like I mentioned, in 1993, but was re-released in 1998, where they shoehorned a little bit in the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter game engine to make it a little bit more nicer for the eyes, basically, for the younger generations, I guess. And yeah, I'm just wondering, why do you still play all the different versions? Is it just nostalgia, or is there more for you in it?
For me, it's mostly been about nostalgia since I actually never finished the original 1993, 1994 versions of the game. I only finished the 1998 versions of the game back in the day, and it's been something I've wanted to do just to experience how they've held up and compare them to the original, not the original, compare them to the 1998 versions of the game, just to notice like the differences and see how the functionality was compared to the newer versions of the game. So it's something that I've always wanted to do. So when I saw they were available on GOG, and that I was actually able to get them to work properly. Everybody knows like how DOS games can be sort of temperamental. Once I was able to get them to work properly, yeah, it was just a matter of being able to dive in and finish the games.
And how do you play them? Do you play them on your current Windows 11 machine, or do you have a retro gaming machine for that?
No, I play them on a Windows 10 PC. For the 1993 and 1994 games, I play them on GOG games, but for all the other games, I actually my computer, I had it specifically built with a CD-ROM drive installed in it, so that I was able to play all of the other games on CD-ROM instead of having to use GOG. Like I still have all of my original CDs for the 1998 series of games.
Oh, interesting. You went basically the hardcore route. I also have all my CDs and transferred all of them to ISO files on my NAS. But out of convenience, I just install always the GOG version. It's a little bit plug and play.
Yeah.
Most of the time, not all of the time. But nice that there are still some fans out there who have also the original and play also the original. It's good, especially if you consider we then know those old games still work under modern operating systems, which isn't, a fact which is often there.
Yeah, sometimes there's compatibility issues between Windows and GOG, but we are fortunate we live in an era where YouTube is full of guides, so we're able to just look up how to get the games to work. Basically, that's what I did. I searched up like how to run TIE Fighter 94 optimally, and there was a guide on YouTube, and I just followed those instructions, and then my game ran perfectly and never had an issue with it the entire time. So it's always nice to see that other people are still making guides and videos on how to help people set that up perfectly, so they don't have to, trial and error all of the different things that could be potential issues with the game running properly.
Definitely, that's a big plus in the gaming of the PC gaming franchise. There are still so many fans out there who keep those games alive. Also, we have to say we can keep those games alive because they are not behind a server which needs to be online to play those games. It's a different era, luckily.
Yeah, we are quite fortunate. We can just download them and play them on our computer without any issues.
You mentioned that you more or less played all the different versions of the X-Wing games, especially if we focus on X-Wing itself. What would you say are your favorite features, ships, weapons?
So my favorite ship is probably honestly the A-Wing.
Interesting. Why?
The way I play these games, at least the way I think I play them like really, really, really aggressively. Instead of being like a more defensive-minded player, I'm always flying around with systems at maintenance level instead of like all power on like lasers or shields, so that my ship is dealing more damage. And the A-Wing just like really suits my play style really nicely because of it's the fastest Alliance ship, even though it doesn't have like it's probably the lightest armed of them all, but just the fact that it's so fast, so maneuverable. I love dogfighting. When I fly these missions, I just love full clearing, killing absolutely everything that exists in every mission. And the A-Wing just sort of fits that niche where you can still, like where you're in a slower ship, where you're in like the Y-Wing or like the B-Wing, and you're dealing with missions where there's like in XWVM especially, if you turn on all the difficulty modifiers to full and you're dealing with like 12 enemy ships that all have top ace AI and they have missiles, you're not going to want to do that in a Y wing or in a B wing just because they're so slow in comparison to the enemy fighters. But when you're in an A wing, you feel like you're more on even ground, I would say, especially when you're dealing with TIE Advanced, because their base speed is just so high compared to the other craft. It feels like it's the only fighter that you're like really on even footing, which is like huge when you're trying to full clear missions like I do. Favorite weapon? I would probably actually say the advanced proton torpedo, or proton torpedo is my favorite weapon because the advanced version of it actually is basically a better concussion missile. And when you're dealing with, again, heavy starfighters with like the assault gunboat, it takes 4 concussion missiles to kill an assault gunboat. And sometimes that isn't even enough. Like, it depends how fast you're traveling. But if you're using a proton torpedo, it only takes 1 to knock off all of the shields and do some hull damaging and just finish it up with lasers. And if you're using the advanced proton torpedo, like in the later series of games, it's just so fast and so deadly in comparison to all the other warheads, but it's still surprisingly accurate. When I fly a lot of missions, I'll actually take it instead of advanced concussion missiles just because I think that it's so much better. And plus, if you're dealing with capital ships, it basically does double duty. It can be used against fighters that have shields, and it can also be used against capital ships.
Every time I use a missile or a torpedo on a fighter, I think it will never hit the target. I never have enough luck for that. Starships, no problem, of course, especially if I had them blind, but starfighters, not so much.
Oh no, yeah, the AI is really, really good about being able to dodge missiles. It was one of the things that I started learning to just dumbfire warheads into starfighters because I found that locking onto them, sometimes dodging 2 or 3 projectiles, which is crazy when you think about it, because there's like basically no humans can dodge that many projectiles, but the AI has no issue with that many, which is crazy.
This is definitely also something I recently relearned, how advanced the AI I think is in those games. Doesn't matter if you play the X-Wing game, the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, X-Wing Alliance. It's so basic, but still so effective.
It is, and the fact that they managed to improve upon it to make it even better, which is crazy in terms of what your AI can do and what the enemy AI can do. Like the advanced wingman panel that X-Wing Alliance has that allows you to like so many more customizability options in terms of the tactics and strategies that you can use, but the enemy AI it just got like better and better to the point that like some people are just not able to complete the campaign just due to the way that the AI not everyone is able to get a grasp about like the subtle things that the AI has or the way that it behaves. Because once you learn all of the tips and tricks that the AI, the way it behaves, make it a lot easier to handle. But not everybody's able to handle that, so it makes it a lot harder to basically complete missions on certain difficulties.
Absolutely, it makes the game, I will not say feel like a real experience in an online match where you have real opponents, but it's so close sometimes. Sometimes you don't, it doesn't feel that you fight an AI, for example. It feels like there are other human players behind those TIE fighters.
Oh, definitely, and there's a difficulty setting that's it's above top ace AI. It's called Jedi, and the Jedi difficulty of pilot is better than I'd say 80 to 90% of the human pilots. Just the way that it reacts, the way that it dodges, the way that it can move. It's just crazy in terms of how it feels like it would be one of the best human pilots if it was a human. So this is just comparatively, it's pretty interesting to see how they were able to develop such an advanced AI like 20, 30 years ago. It's pretty incredible.
Of course, the AI isn't the only feature amazing in this game. You also have amazing cutscenes, a good world immersion, basically. You have a tech room where you can watch, sometimes without bugs, the starfighters, the ships. You have a replay function, so many different things. But yeah, what other features do you like?
In the X-Wing series of games, I've really enjoyed like the cutscenes specifically. I think it feels like you're sort of like a character in a movie who's it's like you're progressing towards like a goal when you're like, oh, you sort of see like the fruits of your labor in video form. You're like take the let's take tour one for example. When you're doing all these missions, like working up to destroying the Star Destroyer Invincible. You're like disabling freighters, getting R2 units for your ships, which then in turn you use to capture the freighter with the warheads on board, which you then use the Cygnus staff, which you took from the previous mission, who then programmed the warheads. And then all these things come together at the cutscene at the end, and you get to see the Star Destroyer blow up, which, like, at the time, you're like, oh my god, this is so cool. I did that. Not directly, but, like, over, like, through your actions, you helped it progress along, and the cutscene just sort of, like, it validates all of the efforts that you've been making, and just adds, like, another level of detail to the story. And, as, of course, as time went on, the cutscenes got better and better. And then when XWVM comes out, I'm sure all the cutscenes will look incredible because they're redoing all of them, I think. So it'll just look amazing. It'll just feel even more rewarding.
When I recently replayed the X-Wing game, I just thought how much I prefer getting a medal from the game in the game compared to an achievement on Steam. It's so much more, it's just so much immersive for the gameplay. I forgot how this feels.
Yeah, and the medals are actually they're real medals too. They're medals that existed before, like in the Star Wars universe, and you're getting them. And then at the end, when you look at, you're like, oh, I completed all the tours, and you see your full medal collection. It just feels like all the hard work, and you can just see it. And in the EH, actually, we have like a full duty uniform, so you can actually see all of your medals and achievements as if they were pinned onto an actual officer's uniform, which I think would be even cooler. I mean, they have that in X-Wing Alliance to an extent, but if they had it to the extent that the EH had, it would just add like another level, because you could just imagine what it would look like if you had all those medals on your own chest, and it'd be really cool.
Oh, I didn't really know that there were real Star Wars medals, but they were mentioned before or shown before. That's nice.
Yeah, the one that's awarded at the Star of Alderaan in the end of A New Hope, when the Death Star's been destroyed, that you are actually awarded that medal for destroying the Death Star in the video game.
Just shows us how much love for the franchise the developers originally had.
Oh yeah, they did a fantastic job, like incredible.
Especially, which is a fact which always blows my mind, is how games back then were developed. They didn't have Wikipedia, they didn't have Discords. So much knowledge just had to be discovered. And they just did it and still gave us amazing products, amazing love for the franchise. Yeah, missed it sometimes.
And this was in an era before patches came out, so what you see is what you got. Like the final version of the game was unedited, no adjustments made. It just they absolutely hit it out of the ballpark, the way that they basically designed pretty much the perfect game in one go.
Absolutely. But sadly, not everything is perfect. I guess you also found a few things which annoys you. What can you tell me there?
The camera function, the replay function, those are the biggest things for me. In both X-Wing and TIE Fighter, the camera / replay function never worked properly. The mission that you would record was not the mission that you saw after. I don't know if it was like a issue they didn't have enough memory to properly record or what went wrong, but every time you look at your recording, you'd be like, none of this actually happened in the mission. Like sometimes you'd fly like a 50-minute mission, and then you'd watch your ship blow up 2 minutes into the recording for absolutely no reason. You'd be like, how did this happen? There was also issues with the recording software. If you turned it on, sometimes your game would crash at the end of a mission, which was another unfortunate thing that did occur sometimes. So all in all, there was no real reliable way to record your missions, and XVT did not have any way of recording missions at all because they couldn't get the recording feature to work properly. It was bad. It was added back in XWA, and it did work to some extent, but it wasn't 100% reliable. So the only real reliable way to record and watch your playback of missions was to use a piece of recording software if you wanted to watch your own playback. It's disappointing because the camera did offer the option to look at the mission through the point of view of other different ships. So if we all experienced, you're like, oh, how did my wingman die when he was like full health 1 second ago? Or what happened to this ship? I don't remember seeing it explode. So if the replay function did work the way it was intended to, you would be able to see missions through the point of view of other people, but they weren't able to get that working properly. So it would have been a really cool feature had it worked the way that it was intended to.
I absolutely get that this is annoying, but on the other side, I think it's amazing that they even included such a feature. Back then, there was no YouTube community or where you could share gameplay over the internet, that they even thought, hey, this would be an interesting idea for players to replay the gameplay basically and learn from their mistakes or what they did right there. It's interesting.
Oh, absolutely. And I have no doubt that other games took a look at what they did and then used what went wrong with the X-Wing sort of camera feature to get their own replay function to work. Because later you saw a bunch of other games that had functioning replay features, like StarCraft came out around in 1998, I believe it was, and it had like a fully functioning replay feature. And there was a bunch of other games that also got RTS games specifically that had like needed to have a replay feature so people could go back and watch the gameplay. And I suspect that they took a look at what went wrong with the X-Wing replay engine, for lack of a better term, and then used it to get their own engine working. So in a way, it sort of like revolutionized the camera/replay functionality feature, I guess.
Yeah, sadly, I never got an answer to the question, what was the first game doing replays? I reviewed StarCraft, and I thought for a long time StarCraft was one of the first. Then I learned about the X-Wing games, and yeah, I'm still not sure if it's the first one or not.
Yeah, I have no clue on that one either.
So if anyone in the audience knows, please let us know. It would be amazing to know the first one. And besides the replay bug, is there anything else which really annoys you every time you encounter it?
There's a GOG specific issue with the X-Wing 1998 and TIE Fighter 1998, where the music track does not loop successfully when it reaches the end of the track. I think game will crash when the track ends and it tries to switch to a new track, or when you complete a mission and the track has to switch from an in progress track to the victory track, the music that plays when you beat the mission. So like the the Alliance main theme song or the Imperial March. And that is really, that one is, I forgot about that until I just remembered. It's really annoying, especially if you're doing like a really long mission or a hard mission and you beat it, and then the game just crashes and you're like, oh, it crashed because I had the music on. Like there's some missions I specifically had to turn the music off so that they wouldn't crash when doing my 1998 playthroughs, because I didn't want to have to do them over and over again just to have the music play during the mission. But that is I've been told that's a GOG specific issue. So as long as you have the Steam version of the game, I don't think that is an issue. Or if you're just willing to, or if you just like the music and are willing to play and just hope that it doesn't crash, that's another option as well. But yeah, the crashing was quite annoying.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like I said, I recently started playing the game, the latest version, basically. And sometimes the game now crashes when the mission is over because the loading screen is just buggy, or I'm not exactly sure what is happening, but every time the loading screen appears after the mission is done, after I jump to hyperspace, it crashes. And that's annoying.
That is an issue that occurs with the XWVM remastered soundtrack.
Again, the soundtrack.
Yeah, again, the soundtrack. So if you change your soundtrack to not use the XWVM one, use either the original music files or the MIDI synth one, then you should not experience those issues, or at least you won't have as many issues as if you had just left it turned on.
Interesting. Never would have thought it's the audio in the modern version, but yeah.
It all circles back to the audio. It's always the audio. You just always blame the audio.
But speaking of this latest release, what do you think about it?
Once everything is ironed out and the full game comes out, it's going to be an absolute masterpiece. It's solid now. There's just need to incorporate, like, there's some things missing. There's still some bugs, some interactions. There's the Nebula B frigate model has not been added to the game yet. There's like some crashing issues, some bugs, a few things here or there still need adjustment. The gameplay it's true to the original, which I do appreciate. The models, everyone on the modeling team has done incredible work. The remastered music, it basically just feels like they took a game 30 years old and just completely modernized it, and they've done an incredible job with it. It's outstanding.
Absolutely. It's such a nice experience rediscovering this game with more or less modern graphics. It's, yeah, amazing. Just amazing.
And to think about it, there's not everybody who's worked on the team it's a free it's a like
they did it on their free time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They are not professionals, but they of course could be professionals now after so many years.
Yeah, just the amount of time, the dedication, the quality of the models, and the fact that, like, this isn't even its final form yet. Just think about how good it'll look when the full thing comes out and all the bugs are ironed out and it runs flawlessly. It's just being incredible, even more so than it is now.
Absolutely, and I find it just amazing that we have now the ability to play it easily, but also for younger generations without a joystick. It was always a bummer for some of my friends who didn't have a joystick. They just couldn't play it, and now they can. That's so nice.
The fact that they've added, like, you can play with a mouse, you can play with a keyboard, you can play it in VR, you can play basically any way you want. You can play it, which is really nice and will help get more people to play it that wouldn't be able to play the original game because they didn't have a joystick.
But of course, if you want a real classic experience, you need a joystick. It's so much more immersive.
Absolutely.
You mentioned that you, of course, played all the other X-Wing titles, but did you also experience them on a LAN party, online? Just basically, did you also play multiplayer?
Yes, I've been a part of many different X-Wing communities over the course of decades since the game came out. I think since 2006. I'm part of the Rebel Squadrons, Emperor's Hammer, the Rebel Alliance, all the different X-Wing communities that are still the most active to this point in time. And Mondays and Wednesdays, TRA hosts multiplayer events, and then the Emperor's Hammer, of course, has internal and external competitions that they run. So those are all different opportunities to engage in multiplayer in both the PvP and co-op, the way the game was intended to play. I've been part of playing the Imperial campaign and the Rebel campaign and Balance of Power with like a full roster of eight human pilots.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it adds a whole new level to the way the game is intended to be played. Is fantastic.
And is this all on your private Discord or the group Discord? Because I'm very active on Reddit. I always stalk the internet for information about old games. I'm also on the X-Wing PC series community Discord, but I never see any multiplayer activity basically. So where is this happening?
In the X-Wing PC series community Discord, sometimes if you go to the Ready room, if you look under Tour of Duty, it's just under General, directly under General. You'll see Tour of Duty, and you'll see Pilot Registration, and then Ready room. You'll see often individual named Fire Wolfie, who regularly hosts. You may not. They're late night U.S. times, like midnight my time, which I imagine would be like 6 o'clock. What time is it where you are now? 6.
Currently it's 11.
Yeah, 11. Yeah, so it'd be 6 a.m. your time. So really late at night. There's also, if you are in the Rebel Alliance Discord, the TRA Discord, which is public. If you join TRA, that's where they host the Monday and Wednesday weekly XVT PvPs Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and then PvEs Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then they also sometimes will be playing other games like Helldivers or Elite Dangerous or EVE Online. Sometimes they play Squadrons. And then the Emperor's Hammer Discord, which you have to join the organization if you want access to the full thing, but you can still, you still publicly join it, and which gives access to some of the Discord channels where they will also be flying. They mainly play a lot of Helldivers, Destiny 2, and Squadrons. And then sometimes they'll have like community game nights where they just play like a sort of golf with friends game or something in that sort of genre where everybody can join. Yeah, for the most part, the communities are looking for more members, so it's always good to see that they're looking to draw interest back into these games.
It just makes me happy that the community is basically still alive, even though I would wish maybe it's a little bit more public, because I check always the Discord every month, and yeah, even the Ready room is rare that you get in the Ready room a message that a game is popping up in 2025. Back then, the last few years, all the time, but it's very quiet today or this year.
Yeah, it's a lot of the community are sort of like they're like students or people with jobs that are very busy during the scholastic year, so September to April-ish. So the activity during those periods of times is sort of low, whereas in the summer you'll generally see a pickup in activity because more people will have time on their hands. They'll be on vacation and that sort of thing. But yeah, it sort of comes and goes in terms of the activity of the community.
Well, it's just good that there is some activity there and that you still have an active community after nearly 30 years, depending on the game.
Yeah, the first X-Men game came out in 93, so you're looking at 32 years.
Of course, in all this time, we got many more Star Wars games. What did you basically play? And did you play Squadron?
I've played the X-Wing series of games. I played games like Shadows of the Empire, Dark Forces, Republic Commando, Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars Starfighter, Star Wars Outlaws, Star Wars Survivor. Squadrons, I did not really get into. I played it for, actually, I can look up right now how many hours I have in that game because I know it is not very many. I have 12 hours played as Squadrons, so I haven't played very much of it.
Thank you for saying that, because I also felt bad when I installed it, and after 2 or 3 hours, I stopped playing it. It wasn't the same. I can't even say exactly what it was, besides of that I fought a long time to set up my controls. But yeah, it was different. Not my kind of game, which is sad.
It's just the way, I think it's just the way that it's a lot faster paced and the time to kill is a lot quicker, and it feels like there's like a meta where certain things are viable and certain things aren't. And whereas in X-Wing you're just handed everything immediately, in that game you have to like grind out to get certain components and ship parts and levels, and there's also a huge range in experience gap because the game came out during COVID. So the only people who play it now generally are like the hardcore players. So you're not really going to have that sort of balance where in XVT you'll have some old players, some new players, and different level of experience. That game is pretty much only left for like the hardcore community. And there's also a lack of, there's no co-op for the campaign. I just think that it is less replayability in general than the other games do.
Which sounds very, very strange if you consider how old the other games are, and that you find there new players, that you find there mods and co-op gameplay, and nothing in the new one. It's sad.
It is, definitely.
So I would think in a new X-Wing game, that would be an important feature for you, co-op?
If there were to be a new X-Wing game, yeah, I would definitely like to see some co-op. Like a working camera feature would be nice. Just basically take a look at what these like the successful remakes have done and build your game based off of that, because they have you already have a blueprint for success that's in place, and because those models are free, just think about what you could do with like a full-fledged studio.
That's one aspect I also never understand. You already have a proven concept, the X-Wing series. We know what a game should look like, how it should play. Just make a new one. Use the same formula and you have automatically fans. Just do it.
I think it's because a lot of companies just want to try to reinvent the wheel. They want to come up with something new, something different. So they want to come up with something modern instead. So they're like, oh, look what we can still make a game that is both similar and different at the same time, instead of just adhering to the successful model. And it was EA was part designer of Squadrons, and EA's reputation has been somewhat colorful of late, shall we say. So I think...
What? No, they are an amazing company and they never do anything wrong. Definitely nothing wrong with loot boxes. They would never do such a thing.
Oh yeah, I love I love when a game comes out and having to buy everything in a loot box. I love giving billion-dollar companies my money. You're right. They should add loot boxes to X-Wing. I think that'd be great. Like, if I want to have lasers, I should open a loot box at the beginning of the game, and there's a chance that my ship spawns with lasers. There's a chance that it doesn't. And if it doesn't spawn with lasers, then I just have to keep buying more loot boxes until my ship has enough lasers to fly.
Imagine you had to fly 40 to 80 hours a starfighter to unlock the next starfighter, or you can buy it.
Exactly. It was great. It was
a perfect business decision.
They definitely did not get any heat over that decision at all. I was very happy with that.
What we definitely want to see more are mods in modern titles, but yeah, we're speaking about old games here. What mods did you play and what mods can you recommend for new players?
For X-Wing and TIE Fighter, we'll call it the Holy Trinity. We have XWAU, which is X-Wing Alliance upgraded. This essentially takes the 1998 game X-Wing and it brings it into the modern era. They fixed all of the bugs that existed in the original series of games for the most part. They added brand new models, new graphics, some new audio. Basically took the game and gave it a new fresh coat of paint and put a new engine under the hood so that it looks and feels as if it was a game that just came out 2 or 3 years ago. Like if you were to look at the graphics on it and then look at the graphics that the game came out with, you'd be like, wow, this is an incredible difference. And they just recently released a brand new version of XWAU. It just came out like a week or two ago. So that is another one option. But that is specifically for X-Wing Alliance. For TIE Fighter, you have TFTC, which is short for TIE Fighter Total Conversion. This is another project made by Angel, who runs the TIE Fighter Total Conversion team, and he also is the Discord moderator. And this is another completely free fan remake of the original 1994 version of TIE Fighter. So basically, it's the same premise of X-Wing Alliance. They completely redesigned the engine for the game, completely new set of graphics, bug fixes. They completely redesigned the concourse. It's an incredible project. I've worked on helping them out with suggestions for bug fixes and that sort of thing. And there's also, within the same project, there's also TFTC Remastered, which is TIE Fighter Total Conversion Remastered, where they have taken the original campaign and then redesigned it in their own image, like put a modern spin on the original campaign. So every mission, while you'll be flying the same craft, essentially, all of the mission itself has been completely redesigned. So it adds another layer of replayability. So you can play the original campaign the way it was intended to be played if you want to, or you can also play it remastered. So it's a completely new, completely different experience. And then the last one is XWVM, which we've previously been discussing, X-Wing Virtual Machine, which is again another fan remake of the classic 1994 version of X-Wing. Again, doing the same thing the other ones have been doing and completely modernizing the game, bringing it back to life. And again, it's another team that's doing it for free on their own time. The project has been going on for a decade, I think. Again, they're adding another new layer of customizability to the game. You can paint and design your own astromech, name it the way you want to. The tech room actually works properly in this game, which is nice. When the game comes out, they'll have a functioning camera, which, of course, the original games lack. It will just have so much more functionality and replayability, and it'll also look incredible. There is also one more X-Wing fan mod. Oh, I do not remember what it is called. I have to look it up quickly. X-Wing Remaster or something, where it's another person who is coming out with a remastered version of X-Wing that they are doing themselves with their own project team, and it'll basically be similar to XWVM, but by a different group. So I'll get you the name for that because I cannot remember it off the top of my head.
Interesting. There's a different developer team out there who also wants to remaster it. Nice.
Yeah, we're very blessed that people have such an interest in bringing these games into the present. It's fantastic. And all of these games are supposed to come out either this year or the end of next year, so it'll be a great time to be able to play through them all.
Well, I definitely will add all those mods and links down in the description. One thing I never managed to do on my own is getting co-op mods for X-Wing Alliance. I know there are some out there, but I never could get him to run. You know where I can get more information about that topic?
For X-Wing mods specifically?
No, for X-Wing Alliance co-op mods. I know you can have co-op campaigns in X-Wing Alliance. It's somehow possible to even play the entire single-player story campaign together, but I never could get it to run.
I would redirect you to the main X-Wing Alliance website, I believe, is your best bet for that. I'm not too sure. I didn't actually know that was possible.
Okay, different question. There is still a main X-Wing Alliance website out there?
Yeah, the main X-Wing Alliance website is, I'll send you a link to it. It's XWA Upgrade.
Oh, you mean the upgrade website? Okay, that's a different one. Yeah, that of course I stalk all the time.
Yeah, no, I didn't know. I haven't heard of being able to play the campaign in co-op.
I'm a very, very big fan of co-op gameplay, so I always stalk games about co-op mods. So I know about this for a long time, but yeah, like I mentioned, never could get it to run.
TFTC will have co-op, I think, at some point. I'll have to look into co-op for XW. I know somebody who's on the design team. I'll send them a message and ask them about it.
Yeah, I know TFTC wants to include co-op. It will be a real pleasure and a dream just come true to play the TIE Fighter campaign in co-op. I know Angel for many years now. He also developed the Star Trek Armada mod called Star Trek vs. Star Wars. And he is just an amazing guy. And all the work he's doing and the work his team is doing for the total conversion is... Yeah, like you said, you just have to install and try it. If you are a fan of any of the X-Wing or TIE Fighter games, just try it. You will be amazed.
Felt like cannot recommend it enough.
We, of course, mentioned now things a new player should play after he beaten the game, but I also would like to know a few things a player should know when he first starts the game. So basically, do you have some tips for X-Wing or in general X-Wing games?
For X-Wing games, I would recommend X-Wing versus TIE Fighter has a series of missions that are training missions that introduce you to all of the different aspects of the game. And there is also TIE Fighter Total Conversion also has a brand new series of training missions that they have added that will teach you the basics of the games. And even though it is not the same game that TIE Fighter and X-Wing 93 are, all of the skills and lessons that you will learn in this game are transferable. So if you're not sure about how to play the game, I would definitely recommend those. If you're looking for a free resource and you're not sure if the game is for you, I would just recommend watching a YouTube playthrough of the training missions and see if it's something that looks enjoyable to you. That would be the best way. And also just to look through YouTube playthroughs and see if the game is something that you find interesting. Is the best way to determine how to play it. And if you have questions, you can also use the community. There is a community that is definitely looking to add new members and teach new people how to play the games. So that is another option that exists as well. There's a ton of resources that exist. If you're looking for a hands-on, just look at the training missions that the games offer. The original X-Wing 93 and TIE Fighter 93. If you want to start with the very beginning series of games, I would recommend looking at the historical combat missions. Those do teach you the basics of the game. So I would start with those. For XVT training missions, for X-Wing Alliance, I would recommend the first few missions of the campaign to basically teach you all you need to know about the basics of the game. And there's also like a flight room, which offers video walkthroughs. That's another option. And then for TFTC, the training missions, and again, the combat chamber also offers some walkthroughs.
What would you say is the easiest game to beat? When you mentioned all these different titles again, the first thing which came up was in my mind how amazing it is that it has more or less the same control layout, but also how different the skill level is in each game. I'm curious, what do you think is the easiest title to beat?
Easiest title to beat would be X-Wing versus TIE Fighter balanced power campaigns. The reason for this is because those missions, you can eliminate the X-Wing campaign. The X-Wing campaign is 78 missions long, and there's no difficulty setting for it. So you can't, what you see is what you get. There's no easy, medium, hard, so there's one difficulty, which might frustrate a lot of new players. TIE Fighter, the campaign is like 100 and like 90 some odd missions long. It comes with easy, medium, and hard, but just the volume of missions is incredible. X-Wing Alliance, again, the campaign's like another 53 missions long, and it's a step up in terms of there's a lot more going on in the game than XVT. XVT Balance of Power, the campaigns are only 15 missions each, and there is easy, medium, and hard difficulty settings, and the AI, the way it works in Balance of Power is that if you turn the AI to easy, then all of your AI is really, really smart, and all the enemy AI is not that smart. So if you turn it to easy, you'll have no issue doing the campaign because the campaign essentially completes itself for you because of how good the AI is. So that would probably be the easiest to beat.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought about that. I more or less introduced a friend, it's already 2 years ago, into X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. And we got our ass handed, but we didn't change the difficulty setting. So it was on medium, and he played it for the first time. It was a little bit too tough for him, but of course, if you set it to easy, that changes a lot. I just had in mind the X-Wing Alliance campaign, basically, because it's not the longest of the entire X-Wing franchise, and it has a nice learning curve. But of course, the difficulty settings, maybe a little bit definitely in X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, that could be so in handy for a new player.
Some of the later missions in X-Wing Alliance, though, are really unforgiving. Even if you turn it on to easy, like the Death Star trench run mission specifically. Even if it's on easy, you can't change the way that the game is laid out because you still have to that mission is the same on easy, medium, hard. You still have to fly the Death Star trench run from start to finish, traverse like 30 kilometers, and destroy the Death Star by flying through like a maze with a bunch of obstacles in it, even if it is on easy. So there's things like that that I would say would preclude me from labeling it as the easiest because there are certain missions that.
But there are always certain missions in those games which are very, very hard and unfair.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's definitely good to have another experienced player hear about that. Another thing I would like to hear from you is definitely some of your memories. Do you have maybe some favorite memories of playing this game now for over 20 years?
Favorite memories probably just every time I accomplish something that nobody else has done in the history of the game, at least that I can find record of. Like, for example, I've beaten the entirety of the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter Balance of Power campaign for the Imperials on hard without dying. I've soloed missions designed for 8 human players without dying. I recently soloed a 12, like a mission designed for an entire squadron in the original X-Wing. When I broke the high score record for total number of high scores in the Emperor's Hammer, like the first time that I've completed each mission or each game, every time that I've done something that, like for the first time, or something that nobody else has done, are probably the biggest highlights that stand out to me.
That's definitely some very big memories you have there. Was this also more or less the reason why you started to create a YouTube channel to save those memories and share them?
I created a YouTube channel primarily because of that, and there was also just a lack of content at the like. It sounds weird to say the highest level, but there's nobody on YouTube who did playthroughs or completed missions like the way that I was doing them at the time. And I'm pretty sure that, like, if you look at my channel, there's things on my channel that you won't find on any other channel that's producing content for these kind of games. Like, it's unique. That's what when I found out that I was one of the, if the not the best at these games, I wanted to showcase what the highest level of gameplay in these games looks like, and also offer people who wanted to the opportunity to beat missions like a walkthrough, so that they could look at how the mission could be beaten. So it was for me. It was also for people who are looking to learn and get into the games. So I guess it's just for everybody all around, I would say.
which is just perfect. Like you mentioned, there is a lack of X-Wing and TIE Fighter gameplay content on YouTube. Also on the multiplayer side, it's been a very long time since I last saw a multiplayer match on YouTube. It's sad a little bit.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow is Monday. Maybe we can get some XVT multiplayer gameplay.
Definitely do something there. Share some rounds that the internet knows, hey, we are still alive.
I can give you the name of somebody in the X-Wing community who generally streams every Monday and has multiplayer content on his Twitch channel. But yeah, I'll see if I can get some more. Yeah, multiplayer content there's a lack of it. Maybe there's an opportunity there to get more of it out. I definitely agree.
I only know of one YouTuber which more or less stopped 4 years ago. I think his name was Bazar, something like that. He always posted his co-op sessions with 4 or 5 different players. That was always nice to watch, but yeah, give us more.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking about more and what you currently also produce, how do you produce it? What setup do you use? What, for example, video and audio software do you use?
In terms of software, I just have a one PC setup that I built and have been upgrading over the years. It was designed with that opportunity to be in mind, so that when I created it, I would have the opportunity to just take parts out and replace them as needed to upgrade it. I run 3 different monitors. One when I'm video editing is exclusively for that. In terms of the software that I use Bandicam. I have a lifetime subscription to that software. I use it primarily because it was one of the only recording softwares that I could actually get to properly record the older games. Some of the newer software I couldn't get to properly record the 1993 and 94 versions, because of course they run in DOS, and that's always been sort of an issue getting that thing to run. But I had no issue with that, so I would recommend that if you're looking for a not too expensive piece of recording software for those kind of games. In terms of video editing software, I edit all my own videos. I use DaVinci Resolve, which is a fantastic tool, incredibly useful, has so many different functions, and if you want to purchase it, there's like a full suite of video editing software that I suspect you could use to edit movies and that sort of thing if you wanted to. So just this sheer number of options that you have for that is incredible. So that is the piece of recording software that I do use. It is also free. If you want the base version, you don't have to pay for it. It's completely free, which is great.
Yeah, I just agree there. It's an amazing thing that they offer it for free. I have, of course, the lifetime since I use it for many years now. And I think it's totally fair to pay them once a little bit of money, and then you get every update for free for the, yeah, for foreseeable future at least.
Absolutely, definitely worth it.
Especially the audio AI, I love it. The noise removal, and now mixing of music which hasn't the right length, or mixing the entire audio setup. It's amazing what they are doing in the last few years. Really good company there. Of course, software is the one part of the solution. The other part is the creativity. How did you come up with new ideas? Do you just basically fly a mission and record it, or do you have always a idea what you want to record?
Generally, this sort of content is very nice in that you pretty much always know what you're going to be doing. So, like, if you're doing a campaign playthrough, you'll just be like, "Oh, I'm going to play through all the missions in the campaign on X difficulty," and then that'll be, because the campaigns are so long, you'll be like, "Oh, that's 3 months of content right there." Sometimes I will do something special where I'll be like, "Oh, I want to try doing X mission on this difficulty, killing everything in the mission without dying," sort of thing. And then that is the only time that I sort of will come up with something spontaneously. For the most part, the way that we make the content is pretty linear.
And what can you tell us basically about the future of your YouTube channel? What are your long-term goals, or maybe future projects?
Future projects, we have on my channel, have a couple exciting new projects coming up. Of course, there will be, because XWVM and TFTC full releases are on the horizon. Those will be the big two. I'm currently doing a full playthrough of the XWVM Alpha on the hardest possible difficulty, which will take, of course, because that campaign is like 78 missions. That'll be like 6 months plus all the historical content. That's like 6 months of content right there. Then you have TFTC, both the original and remastered. When those comes out, there'll be full playthroughs of that. And I'm planning on doing what I would call a realistic playthrough of the XWVM Alpha campaign, which basically the campaign is being flown as if you were actually a pilot in the rebellion. So it would be as if putting yourself behind the cockpit without any sort of add-ons or modifications, just be you and then all of the missions. And I'm also considering the option of doing it in virtual reality. So, like with adding all of the throttle controls and then the foot pedals, and then basically like a hyper realistic playthrough of the entire campaign. And that would be on the horizon. So basically just more of the same, but like a few special products coming up. I upload daily, so there's always be something new coming out.
Sounds amazing, especially the VR experience. I really have to get myself something in the future. I never touched VR, so I can't say if I will vomit or not.
Oh, I haven't. This would be my first experience with it too, so who knows how that will go.
But it's always so fascinating when I see playthroughs from any simulation game. It's amazing. But I would say, yeah, we reached the end. So this is the part of the video where I open the mic to you. Is there anything I missed? Anything you would like to add?
I just like to say thank you for this interview. It's always nice to be able to speak about my experience and passion for these series of games. Has been a part of my life. Thank my family for being supportive. My wife for not biting my head off every time I create content. My communities, the Emperor's Hammer, the Rebel Alliance, and Rebel Squadrons, who have created so many custom missions and so much content and offered such a unique way of bringing fresh ideas into these old games and help keeping them alive. And I'm looking forward to the XWVM and TFTC and XWAU final releases of all of these games, and all the people who have put countless hours into these projects so that people like me can enjoy fantastic modern remakes of these games and have all done it for free on their own time. They are unsung heroes, and I'm just looking forward to what the future holds for these games, and hopefully we can keep them alive for decades to come.
Well, considering how much the community already achieved, I think we will definitely keep these games on the PCs, on the hard disks forever. It's, yeah, a nice, passionate fan base. I love it. And thank you for joining. It was a pleasure listening to you and your gaming history in the XWing games. And yeah, keep up the good work. So I would say that's it for this video. Leave us a comment, tell us what you think about the games, and of course, play the game. Until next time, bye bye.